Well then, Roccat called him Lannister because they are the Kingslayers.
Which she, by the way, stole because we used it in week 1.
Oh, did you? Well, I actually did not register that.
It's
so
fine.
I'm going to act like
it works.
But anyway, a couple of things. Roccat, fantastic victory, the reverse sweep versus Fnatic. And you actually want to say that you thought that this was obviously a clearly very convincing victory, but you also thought that Roccat did more in game 2 that we're giving them credit for.
Well, game 3 specifically was where. So I 100% agree, like game 2 was all over the place.
Oh, that's not what you just said.
My point was that game 3, I actually didn't feel like that was a fiesta at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
As people were talking about, I actually think game 3, Roccat played extremely well. Which is why they deserve full credit for that. Game 2, hell yeah.
Okay,
on,
sorry, I misunderstood.
you know, go crazy. That was all over the place. But game 3 was a legit Roccat win.
Absolutely, and we asked the question, will this be a boost for Roccat? And yes, they close it out, but we do want to highlight a couple of objective plays, and the Rift Herald is one that we have a replay of Cowboy Shard. That's unlucky.
Yeah, I think it was pretty... they didn't think it would happen like that, Fnatic. Right now they want to make a play into top, and they have to get first blood tower, so they want to do Rift as soon as possible mid, and then... Yeah, we'll see Victor ulting, cancelling it, like... And yeah, I don't know, then Kennen dies bot, they lose bot tower, they try to make the play on Victor, but he flashes it. Like,
I actually thought it would go back on cooldown, but it disappeared.
So, it's important to remember, I mean, a lot of people don't actually know that, Victor ulti will interrupt channels, so obviously interrupted him right there. And as Cowboy Shard was talking about, like, Lulu was up there, like, they literally sacrificed bot lane to try and get Rift Herald and get a tower.
And that was a tipping point, according to you guys.
Exactly, because then as soon as he gets interrupted, there's no Rift Herald, there's no tower. Source misses ulti on his engage, so there's no kill. Rekka stays bot lane, so he dies with the tower. Gave actually quite a lot of gold to Roccat, and then he used that to then get another turret right after.
Yeah, I think like the moment they try to make their play, Victor clears the whole wave, so they can't even have tempo at all. Fiora gets time to back, she's slowly scaling and getting well into that. And Fnatic have to base. But then Roccat ahead on the tempo, and we see them 3k ahead there. They played pretty clean the third game, yeah.
Exactly, and that's why I really want to highlight that point, like that it wasn't a messy third game by any means, because they won bot lane with the Kalista Thresh after Jessis picks Lulu against it, which is not a good pick at all against Thresh. It's actually one of the reasons Lulu kind of fell out of favor, because he came back in.
You'd rather have seen Gragas support.
I mean, I almost rather see Gragas support at this point, but then, because they invested everything by picking Gragas in the first phase instead of Zyra. Because then they knew Zyra would get banned. That meant Jessis didn't feel like he probably had any picks left he wanted to play. I'm even looking at things like a Tahm Kench that I actually don't think was banned away. It could have been a good choice.
Yeah, I think even then, the problem is that they picked up that early that it's ending up in not so good of a matchup. When you have last pick, you can try to do other things. I think that draft in game 1 went really well. But here they tried to switch things up when they could have picked the Zyra, as you said, and maybe it would have been way better for both top and bot, yeah.
Maybe it would have been. We, of course, are going to get a word with the victorious Roccat in just a bit. We're just setting up for that, and we want to highlight a couple of other things because PrideStalker caused for a lot of discussion, and honestly, he had not been doing a lot in the games for Roccat so far, but here, he does a couple of very good things. Also, Elder Drake in the last game.
It's just insane. He picks Warwick, he feeds, and then he actually ends up being probably the most important member in the end because of this steal right here, but I think, Cowboy Shard, we were talking a lot about everything before this steal, like in terms of how Roccat were trying to set up Baron and some of their problems.
Yeah, I think they realized that sorry, they realized that the tempo, they had to push top and then rotate onto Nash vision, try to set it up properly around red buff. I think they tried 2 times to force Nash for no reason, so then Fnatic get the tempo back. And then I think Soaz TP'd in, so they felt like we need to force Nashor because Fiora is still pushing in bot, and if we just recall, we're going to lose on tempo. And at this point, they try to force it. It ends up in a 50-50 Nash that PrideStalker once again steals, and it all goes to hell, yeah.
That was the one moment, man, where it just went completely wrong.
Yeah.
El Bandito.
It started to go wrong with the Rift Herald in this game,
PrideStalker Bandito. Pride Bandito. No. Trying to find something here.
Pride Stealer.
Pride Stealer? Baron Stealer?
Oh, fixed. No, so for the side of Fnatic, obviously, what does it do? How can it all go wrong, and why does it all go wrong at this point, and what does it mean, knowing that you had a fantastic victory versus G2, obviously, last week. You were riding so incredibly high, and then you lose to the last-place team. Will this dent them a lot, you think?
I don't know. They probably feel very confident already, so I don't think it makes him like worse, but I like the fact that Shen was banned in every game, which
and
is
Kennen lost 2 games in a row.
Exactly, like that was something G2 didn't do. They gave Shen plus Kennen, which is something Fnatic used to force a lot of fights early on. They couldn't do the same without the Shen, and that's something teams will look at for sure.
Definitely so, but enough about Fnatic for now, because we need to talk to Roccat. They pulled off a great comeback against Fnatic, and for more, Pyra is ready with our player of the series, Peter Freischus.
Thank you very much, Shox. And yeah, let's open up the floor to you, because Jarnin, you are player of the series. How's it feel in retrospect after that big turnaround, 2-1?
Obviously, it feels pretty fucking good, you know? Well, I shouldn't say that, I guess, but...
Just roll with it.
Yeah, it feels really good. Obviously, the second game, we thought we were, like, really doomed, right? Because we were down so much kills, we just said, okay, let's go for solo kills on every lane. We have to try something, right? But, like, we managed to win game 2, and then on game 3, we know ourselves, because we lost second game like twice already in our series, so we just know how tilted you are after losing the second game when they won the first one. So we're just like, okay, let's just play our game, and yeah, we played pretty good for the last game, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it was such an improvement on form, and I want to go back to that game too, because at the moment that it clicked, that you guys were marching down the mid lane and everything was going absolutely insane, what was that like to you when you realized, holy moly, we're going to win game 2 and we can start a turnaround?
It was pretty much like we just made team fight after team fight, and just felt like, sure, let's just keep on fighting. We go equal in this fight, so I guess we just kept on fighting, and it went good. So in the end, though, we were like, I don't know, they did some random base race. We know that Kennen would, or Reckless would go for his Kennen play. He always does it on ganking top laner, and we saw the mid lane top as well at that point. So we were just like, okay, sure, we just end the game mid, and what are they doing? You know, like we were really confused, but that's how we won, I guess.
Well, it caps off an impressive turnaround. Now, I think a lot of fans look at Roccat and see them as sort of a Cinderella team. You guys had your miracle run during the spring split, cut a little bit short, but now you're able to knock off Fnatic in dramatic fashion. How does Roccat see itself as a team?
I think we were really disappointed last split. Obviously, we didn't go to playoffs after we went like 6-0, I think. Or I don't know exactly what it was, something like that. And we were pretty good at that time. And then we changed jungler, so it was like we kind of had to start over all this process again, because we did not go with the same lineup. So we had to start over and learn everything new, what we're going to have to do with the team and all this. So it was like really hard now in the beginning, the first 2 weeks, to actually like show, like our scrims are not great. So it's really hard like to get the, I don't know how to say it. It's like, I don't know actually. It's really hard actually to answer that question.
So you guys had to basically kind of pick things back up from square one because you'd brought in a new jungler, and it's just such a fragile state of things.
Yeah.
Is that why it was such a rough time for the first weeks, including losing to the G2 sub squad?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like we didn't really know, I don't know, we were really bad basically. And right now we're not good, I think right now either. Like we're not really good. We played good this year, I think, but overall, if this is another day, maybe we wouldn't beat them, you know. Today we were a better team, I think, but yeah, we just have to work harder and improve as a team, I think.
All right. Well, we saw the potential at the very least, and there's a long split ahead of you guys, several more weeks. Where do you see yourself placing at the end? Do you guys think you're going to be able to make that playoff run?
The playoffs is our goal right now, for sure. Same as last split, so we hope we can do it. And after that, everything can happen, I guess. Like, yeah, hope for the best and go finals.
Well, I look forward to see if the magic can happen. All right. Thank you for joining me, Jarnin. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and send it back to the guys at the analyst desk. Take it away.
Thank you, Pyra, as we take a look at the win moment. Fantastic. Swag. Great stuff. And always actually nice to hear from Jarnin, also our player of the series, and definitely cool because he was someone that we were looking at to step up. But let me ask you this. We had a lot of question marks about PrideStalker, right? He had not been carrying his weight. I think that's fair to say. And now he does make some very, very influential steals. But if you take that away, what is your judgment? If he doesn't steal the Baron, if he doesn't steal the Elder Drake, in the context of the developing team?
I'm still not convinced that he is good enough for Roccat and what they're trying to do with making playoffs. Steals were great. Ignore those steals. The Warwick pick was not great at all. It had very limited impact in some of the games, but his game 2 was actually fine. So it's really hard because he's a young solo queue player, which is why it's super unfair to judge him based on 3 weeks of LCS. I think we can say now, sure, it's not at the level we want it to be, but I also think at the same time, in 6-7 weeks, suddenly he might look way better because he's had much more time on stage. It's too early to just fully judge him right now.
Yeah, and we've also seen that, or actually, when speaking or not speaking to him, rather, he does seem kind of finding his way in every sense of the word. In the LCS, it's all new. So can this mentally be kind of an unlock for him, Cabochard, the fact that you're able to, hey, I can do it, guys. I can do important things on the stage.
Yeah, definitely. Like doing it even more against Fnatic, I think it can be a thing. I think the meta before, when it was Grace Ringer, he performed much better onto it. Right now, it shifted a bit, and we see him picking things like Warwick into Kha'Zix, which is not optimal for a lot of teams. Like there was the Listen open, Gragas was open too. Maybe they could have tried that. 2 games in a row, they went for Warwick, and yeah, for early mid game, it really wasn't that good.
It's also hard though if the rest of your team is maybe not doing too well. Like Foxy up in the top lane has not been the same guy we saw at the end of last split. Like his Jarvan game where he got camped early on and fell super far behind. It's happened quite a few games where Betsy has also struggled. So as a jungler, oftentimes if your laners are not performing well, you're actually the one who suffers the most, because then suddenly you can't do anything because all your lanes are behind, and if you try and gank, you get counter ganked, you die, and everyone blames you. So it's actually really hard to play a jungler.
But now this is fun. You get the momentum, you get to win, You get to meet the fans and have a lot of fun with that. So let's hope for Roccat at least that this is kind of the start for something good for them. And
I mean, last time they won a game,
they won all the games.
They
won 6 in a row, so that does make everything very interesting.
And also they play NIP next.
They do. They play NIP on Saturday, which is actually the match that we looked at for them to win. And now they get a win on the board already. So what are you guys' thoughts on that matchup? It would almost be like, of course, they're going to beat NIP now. No, or is that too easy? Cabochard?
Yeah, I think they're going to win. I'm not sure it's going to be like a clean sweep, like 2-0 or something. But yeah, I think they're going to take the victory. And right now in the current system, they're getting a win from Fnatic. I think it's really important for them. So they have to get home and they'll be really happy about today,
Absolutely.
I think.
I mean, it's kind of the same situation as Vitality, right? You guys just got your first win, and obviously that was not against one of the top teams in your group, but still you pick up a win, and now you're trying to obviously get a few more to make it into playoffs. But not 100% convinced that Roccat will just go in and sweep NIP, because I think they figured out Fnatic very well, especially in the last game, and Fnatic showed some of the problems. But I'm not sure Roccat is just going to be the same team we saw at the end of last split all of a sudden.
Yeah. Before we move on, is this the end of the Cannon pick?
No.
No.
It is not.
All right. Cool. We're going to take a look back at our first series. As you mentioned already, Deficio, Vitality also booked their first series victory up versus the Mysterious Monkeys. For people who might not have seen it, Cabochard, what did it come down to this series?
I don't know. I haven't seen it either.
How do you think it did?
I think it went all right, even though we made quite a lot of mistakes early in game 1, I think especially. And then, yeah, as I said before, we skipped a lot of steps, even though we knew what to do. I think otherwise we played pretty well our lane, and then when we had the advantage, we took it like to the end.
Is Nuke Dog the best performing Vitality member right now?
I don't know, you tell me.
Oh, I mean, I think he is.
He's such a dodger.
But what about the top laner? What's his name again? Is he good?
Cabochard.
Cabochard? is he good right now?
Yeah, I think he's alright.
Alright.
I think Nuke Dog has been showing up as well, so it's definitely great to see him like back in the days.
I mean, but that's the truth, right? Because when it comes to you, you had obviously fantastic start in the LCS and you made a lot of heads turn. And then recently, and even, the whole maybe last year, it hasn't been super Cabochard. So how much does that motivate you, and how much do you agree with that? Or is that maybe the product of the circumstances at the time?
I think it depends on times. I think last summer, I definitely underperformed, but towards the end of last split, I think we all together, like individually and as a team, we progressed a lot, I think, even though it wasn't showing up that much on stage. And right now, we actually took it pretty well onto scrims, for example. And actually, I think all of us are really good, and we just need to keep improving, and we can definitely be a really good team.
What's been the process like with Yamato Cannon? What is he? I've heard in different teams, like in Splice, that he starts from the bottom, from the absolute basics of everything. How's it been working with him? And is that also the way you guys are approaching practice?
Yeah, pretty much with the mindset, like we just want to keep improving, and like we don't really get our goals like tomorrow we need to be the best team in Europe or whatever. Like we take the day as it is, and we keep progressing, we keep getting better and better, and eventually we're gonna get there.
Yeah, and a first series win. To wrap that up, Deficio Mysterious Monkeys not able to win a single game again today. What is kind of your temporary verdict?
I mean, it's hard. A lot of new players in the LCS. A lot of players that had a fantastic run from Challenger playoffs into promo tournament. Probably overperformed a little bit during that time. They're now in the LCS, and they're clearly a step under the rest of the team in Group B. And it sucks even more for them now to see teams like Roccat start picking up wins, because that just means that you feel like you're now almost the only one who's just not able to do it. And these teams are getting confidence now, and you are not getting anything.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see how that evolves for them. Let's take a look at the standings with that, because Roccat and Vitality have started to climb up those rankings. 1 and 2 in one series. 1 and 2 for Roccat. It actually doesn't look that bad at all. We're only 3 weeks in. I keep forgetting, because you think when teams start losing a couple of games or series, oh, it's horrible, but it isn't at all. You guys are just at the beginning of the split.
Let's remember that Splice are playing Unicorns.
Yep.
So let's say that's a Unicorns win. Then Vitality plays H2K. And PrideStalker already told me that Vitality will win that series. And then suddenly they're tied with Splice for 3rd place.
Did he?
When did it happen?
As soon as you came up here and you were like, whoa, we won. We're going to take down H2K. I was like, oh, hang on, boy. You were like, say that on air. I'm like, okay.
No?
You know, I'm pretty sure that happened.
No.
Okay, it happened. You were there, by the way.
I did not hear that.
No,
okay, it totally happened. He said they were going to beat H2K.
We have cameras here, I think.
He totally said they're going to beat H2K.
You mentioned it already about tomorrow's matchups. We're going to take a look at the schedule, because it's quite interesting. Misfits versus G2 and Splice versus the Unicorns of Love. And I think we got spoiled a little bit today, because not a lot of people have probably thought that Roccat Fnatic series to be that competitive. So what's going to happen tomorrow? Misfits versus G2, PrideStalker. Do you think Misfits can improve enough in time to beat G2?
I don't think right now, like, it will still take time for them. I think G2 are still a really, really good team. Like, even though they didn't have that much train before, right now I think they're gonna show up and win 2-0 against Misfits.
And Unicorns of Love, Splice?
I'm giving it to Unicorns of Love. They're playing well at the moment, and I kind of like what Splice have been doing with Senkooks in the mid lane on Aurelion Sol and Galio and Talia, these kind of things. So I think it might be closer than people expect, but I think Unicorns will win the end.
All right, cool. Anything else you guys want to add?
He totally said it.
He's French.
No, only he can say that.
French.
All right, had to do it. All right, well, thank you very much, PrideStalker, for joining us. Congratulations on the first victory for Vitality. Thank you very much, Fisho, for all your help. And for us, it's time to log off for the night. Thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow for more League of Legends in the EU LCS. See you then. Au revoir.
I'm French.
Au revoir.
The cheer goes up.